Hi, I'm Charla with Freezer Meals 101. Today we are going to be making muffins for the freezer. I know that you might know that you can bake muffins and freeze them, and those are great for grabbing when you're on the go, if you have a busy morning or whatever. But today we're also going to talk about how you can actually freeze your muffin batter in the muffin thingies. That's the technical term. Anyway, and so if you freeze the batter, then you can bake fresh muffins when you need them. So if somebody comes over for tea and you want to have like your house smelling amazing and want to serve them some freshly baked muffins, if you just feel like you want fresh muffins yourself for a weekend morning or whenever the craving hits, then you can actually do this where you freeze just the dough, and then when you want to, you can then bake them in the oven. And then you get the smell and the warmth and all the goodness of freshly made muffins, but you don't have to dirty the dishes, you don't have to actually make the batter, you don't have to go through all the steps, you don't have to have the ingredients in the house, which is kind of key because then you're not running to the store. So anyway, we're gonna go through that today, but in order to show you this, I wanted to show you that you can do this with pretty much any muffin recipe. So I'm kind of taking you through, and this week I'm gonna be making several muffin recipes, and I'll just quickly whip through those and show you the different methods of freezing muffins and thawing and cooking and all the good things. But that's it. So that's what we're doing today. If you're looking for freezer meal recipes, ideas, tips, tricks, then I invite you to subscribe to me here on Freezer Meals 101. We always have lots of fun, and today is no exception. So let's get baking. When I decided I was going to show you guys how easy it is to make muffins ahead to freeze, I asked on my personal Facebook page for people's favorite muffin recipes. So this first one I got from my friend Karen, and they are called berry cream muffins, and we're going to be making them with raspberries. I am using frozen raspberries today, but she suggests that you mix the raspberries into the flour mixture, and that always works better when you're using like blueberries or strawberries, which incidentally you can also use for this muffin recipe. And because then they don't clump all together in the same area, and they also don't tend to make the batter all blue from blueberries or red from raspberries or strawberries. So we're just going to throw this together and then get it in our muffin tins. So for the ones that I baked in the oven, I'm gonna transfer them. Now, you should transfer them onto a cooling rack, but I don't own one. So this is one of these like do as I say and not as I do moments. But you're just gonna transfer these over to cool, preferably to a cooling rack. And once they're fully cool, you can place them in a resealable large freezer bag and take all the air out and pop them in your freezer. If you want, they'll last about 2 months that way. But if you want them to last a little longer, like 3 to 4 months, then what you can do is you can freeze them, just throw them in the freezer flat on the cooling rack once they're cool. Again, once they're fully cool. You can put them in on the cooling rack or on a cookie sheet and just freeze them fully and then transfer them into your large freezer bag. And that way, you can get a little more life out of them in the freezer, but either way works. In our house, we eat them so fast that them lasting 2 months in the freezer is like a pipe dream. So honestly, I just take them, cool them, put them in the freezer bag, take the air out, put them in the freezer, and they're gone well before 2 months. So for this tray, I have just scooped it into a muffin tin that is lined with paper liners. You can also use silicone liners if you'd prefer. And I am taking this raw dough and I am freezing it. So I'm just gonna put it flat in the freezer and let it freeze for hours and hours and hours, probably like 4 to 5 hours minimum. Sometimes I even leave them overnight. And then I'm gonna transfer them into a freezer bag and they will be ready to bake. Like I said, you can do this with paper liners or silicone liners. This next muffin recipe is from my friend Shelly, and I will put the link to it in the description box below. It was supposed to be lemon poppy seed muffins, which I was super excited about because if I'm ever gonna buy anything like bakery related at a coffee shop or whatever, it's usually like a lemon poppy seed loaf because they're just really good and they have that glaze on them, and these muffins have glaze, and they just sounded really fresh and delicious and great for summer. But kind of got making them and then realized that my poppy seeds were moldy, which is never a good thing. So I had to change course partway through, which is not always the easiest to do, but I just had wrapped my head around the fact that I was not going to be able to get lemon poppy seed muffins. So since blueberries taste good with lemon and I had some blueberries in the freezer, I decided to go that route. So I made the rest of the muffins according to the recipe and just added some blueberries into the flour mixture before I mixed the dry ingredients and wet ingredients together. And I'm hoping that it's going to be just as delicious, or maybe not quite, but it'll still be really good, and I still get to make that glaze for them, so I'm sure they'll be good. And again, I'm gonna freeze about half of them once they're already baked, and the other half I will freeze before baking, and that way when I need some freshly baked muffins, I can just toss those in the oven and have this lovely smell going through my house again. So one thing with this recipe is that it requires 6 fresh lemons to zest them and to use the juice of them, which is great, but I decided to double the recipe. So that would be 12 fresh lemons, and zesting and juicing 12 lemons took a little bit. So thankfully one of my daughters helped me with that, and it actually went pretty quickly once we got going. But just saying that maybe I should have given that, a second thought when I decided to double the recipe. But here we are. It's gonna be amazing, gonna be delicious. And again, we're doing the one set that we're baking and putting in the freezer that way. And the other set we are putting in the paper liners and then freezing the muffin tin tray with the liners until they're fully frozen, and then transferring them into a bag. Make sure you write the directions for baking on that bag. And yeah, these are going to be delicious. The last kind of muffins we're going to make this week for me to demonstrate this idea of how you can freeze muffins is just a simple strawberry muffin. I guess there's a theme happening with berries because I've got the lemon blueberry, which was supposed to be lemon poppy seed. I've got the raspberry cream, and now we're going to have strawberry muffins. So I didn't intend, obviously, on having that kind of theme, but that's just the way it ended up. So for these, it's actually a blueberry muffin recipe. So I'm just gonna substitute strawberries for the blueberries. That's it. One thing that I discovered when I was baking these muffins from frozen, well, not from frozen, but that had been frozen, and I was baking them, was that the ones that I let fully thaw and then bake them rose and had like that nice dome on the top, but the ones that were still a little bit frozen when I put them in the oven, they still tasted good and they still work and they still smell good, but they didn't get that nice like dome on the top. So my advice would be to fully thaw muffin batter before you bake them. Hey guys, it is Father's Day morning and I am needing to use these muffins sooner than I thought. My husband was planning to be dirt biking today, so I thought I got out of making a Father's Day breakfast. But he changed his plans and went yesterday instead. So here I am, my hair's still wet from the shower. I am now having my dad over for breakfast also. So my plan is, I didn't have groceries to make a big brunch, and we've got most of our kids home today too. So there will be like 10 of us, I think, or 9 anyway. So I do need to get my act together. So I pulled out a hash brown casserole from the freezer, and thankfully it was one that I had put some peppers in, so I've got a little bit of vegetables in there. I don't have enough eggs to make an egg thing, but I have those muffins that are ready to bake from the freezer. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of taking out like 1 dozen and baking those, I'm gonna take out like some of each of the kinds, so that we can have a variety of 3 different freshly baked muffins, because they have similar cook times, similar temperatures. So then I can just put them all in the same muffin tray and bake those up. And then it'll kind of be like a breakfast buffet where you get a variety of muffins to choose from. This is my thinking anyway. So here we go. We are going to test drive this theory of the raw muffins and baking them fresh on the day you need them. And we're gonna test drive it on Father's Day. So that's it. Just as easy as that. You can have muffins in your freezer and muffin batter in your freezer ready to bake for whenever you want to enjoy some homemade muffins, whatever your favorite recipe is. If you're looking for other really quick morning ideas, like those busy weekday mornings when you're on the go and you don't have time to make yourself a good breakfast, I will stick a video right here of some great make-ahead breakfast ideas, so that way you can get a little more variety than just muffins. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite muffin recipe is. Happy baking!